Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. And keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. All right, folks, here we are on Sunday, March 10th. We're going to take a look at Palantir today. So Palantir, obviously getting some major motion off of several catalysts, up over 30% off of earnings, and on the back of that up another almost 8% and almost 4%, and then battered around a little bit here, some additional catalysts coming in following those news items, and continuing to roll seemingly toward 30. Now, can it get there? That's the question. Sort of really herky-jerky action here with the catalysts that we spoke about coming in, leaving a bunch of gaps that we have in the price action here. But that said, not all gaps are made equal, and some of them just will not be filled over time. The nearest in level that I have at the moment on this chart, 26.79. Pinning itself relatively well. It's there the last 2 or 3 candles. If it does dip, 25.10 and 24.17, the nearest in support levels that I have. Just keep in mind there are some additional levels that develop over time. It's probably a level here around 25.47 or so, maybe 25.50, maybe that sort of psychological level. But I didn't put in every single little level here because I didn't want to make the chart too cluttered. So that said, if it does push to the upside off of this 26.79, 28, 29.19, and then if it does approach 30, we have 30.44 up here as well. Now, as you can see, we're stretching all the way from basically 15 to 30. So we have a lot of ground covered, depending on what Palantir wants to do. But it's done a lot in the last few weeks, and so who knows if it takes a little breather, what that means, if it sort of pins itself to this 26.79 level, or kind of like waffles around in between a couple of levels for a while. That wouldn't be super shocking. We've seen it do that for periods of time, right? Like here and here, and here was a very lengthy one where it's just percentage wise, from the bottom to the top of this range is quite significant percentage-wise, but if you zoom out in the vast scheme of things, that looks really sideways, right? And so maybe we get something like that coming in, soon-ish. That obviously came off the back of a really steep sell-off, and now we've had a pretty steep climb. You climb, consolidate, climb, sell-off, consolidate, climb, and now what? We got sort of a climb, and then a brief sell-off, and then another push, right? That's what I was talking about, sort of like catalyst after catalyst factor. So I'm interested to see how this takes shape. Do we get some sort of a sell-off, some sort of consolidation? Is there like really a lot of stomach, a lot of like just inertia to try to get it to 30? I don't know. That would obviously be another really big percentage push. So I don't know if it has it in it, but we'll see. I mean, if it does, these are the levels that I'm going to be watching. It needs to get support over 26.79 first and foremost. It has been able to hold over there, really, and then approach that 28. That would be the first sort of step up the mountain, if you will. Now, on the think or swim side of things, we had trigger and fire, right? Really nice call out there. Just what you want to see heading into earnings. Came back into the channel, has still, since this period, has not touched the mid-range of the channel. So that's always our question, is like when a stock leaves the channel, right here it pushed out the upper bound of the channel, but whether it leaves the upper bound or the lower bound of the channel, we always wonder, when is it going to come back in and retest the mid-range of the channel? What does it do when it tests the mid-range of the channel? It's had such tailwinds for the bulls that it hasn't even had to come back in. It's been able to use sort of the brunt or the breadth of the wave cloud, this green wave cloud, as support for the time being. Now, this channel is dynamic, and so as the price action continues to rise, it's dragging the wave cloud and all of these levels and all of these bounds up with it. And so at some point, we look for it to collide. And so the question is, when is it going to retest the mid-range of that channel? What does that look like? Right now, that's situated at 23.83. Like I just said, this is dynamic, so depending on when you watch it, it probably won't be at that level exactly anymore, but we'll see what that looks like. If it does at some point come down toward the lower bound right now, that's at 21.36. You see this sort of interim level at 22.59. So we'll see. Or if it does dip down, is it able to use this 25.07 as support, this upper mid-range of the channel? We'll see. But right now we had a symmetrical uptick, and now slow but pretty systematic drawdown of the bullish momentum. We do also get a trigger and a fire here. I don't know if that's going to amount to much of anything. We'll see. Pretty brief trigger and fire. So sometimes we get a trigger and fire and it doesn't really amount to much, and then we get a re-trigger and a re-fire, and that's where the real move comes. I don't know if that'll be this time, but maybe there's a big move that's going to come from this trigger and fire. We'll see in the coming days, but we'll also see if this fire candle holds, or if we get more trigger candles that get put in on the backs of it or not. All right, folks, I hope that you've enjoyed your weekend, and as always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.